Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. Love ain't always about who says it first or who's brave enough to put it in words. Sometimes when two people like each other without saying it, the whole world already knows before they even do. Because when that chemistry is real, when that connection is undeniable, it don't need a dictionary. It speaks for itself. Silent attraction speaks louder than words because sometimes the most powerful feelings are not spoken, but felt. You know, when two people connect on a level that doesn't need constant explanation, it's like the air between them becomes charged with something only they can understand. It's the way they look at each other, the way their energy shifts when they are near, and the way silence suddenly feels full instead of empty. That kind of silent attraction is proof that love or deep interest doesn't always need a microphone. It doesn't need a declaration. It doesn't even need the perfect timing. It just exists quietly but strongly. Think about how often people say one thing, but their actions say another. Words can be faked, rehearsed, or even forced, but attraction, that natural pull between two souls, can't be manufactured. When someone's heart beats a little faster when the other walks into the room, that's not something they decided on, it's something they felt. You can't practice it, you can't pretend it, and you can't hide it for long. Silent attraction has a way of leaking out, whether through a smile, a glance, or even the small gestures that go unnoticed by others, but mean everything to the two people involved. There is a power in not saying it out loud. When people rush to speak, they often ruin the mystery. They put pressure on something that was growing naturally, but when attraction stays unspoken, it builds its own rhythm. Every glance is a paragraph. Every smile is a sentence. Every shared silence is a page in a story that is writing itself. It's slow, it's steady, and it's undeniable. Two people who feel that kind of pull don't have to announce it because the people around them usually see it before they even do. Silent attraction has witnesses because real energy can't be hidden. That silence also creates anticipation. You know that moment before somebody says something important, when your whole body feels like it's waiting for the truth. Silent attraction is like living in that moment, except it's stretched out, long and sweet, keeping both people on the edge of possibility. The absence of words doesn't mean the absence of feelings. In fact, the absence of words often makes the feelings louder, like music turned up inside the heart while the outside world stays quiet. And it's not only about what they feel when they're together. Silent attraction shows itself in how they think about each other when they're apart. One will find themselves smiling at a memory or missing the presence of the other without even realizing how deeply. They may not admit it, they may not even be ready to face it, but their subconscious already knows. It's in the way they find excuses to be around each other, in the way they notice little details that nobody else sees, and in the way they remember things said in passing that others would easily forget. That's not coincidence. That's silent attraction speaking louder than any confession could. The truth is, silence strips away performance. When two people don't speak about their feelings yet, what remains is authenticity. There's no pretending to impress, no carefully crafted lines, no fear of saying the wrong thing. What's left is just the raw connection. A glance across the room becomes a whole conversation. A laugh shared over nothing at all becomes the highlight of the day. Their bodies lean toward each other without permission. Their eyes search for each other without planning. And their souls recognize each other without any introduction. That's not silence. That's love in a language older than words. Because and for that, silent attraction means the heart already knows what the mind hasn't spoken. It's love in its purest form, quiet but undeniable, waiting for the courage to be named. And when it finally is, it doesn't come as a surprise because everything leading up to that moment has already spoken volumes. Actions reveal more than confessions because at the end of the day, people can say almost anything with their mouths, but it's what they actually do that tells the truth. Words are easy. They can be borrowed, repeated, even manipulated to get a reaction. But actions take effort, they take intention, they take sacrifice. If someone really cares for you, it will show long before they ever confess it. They don't have to put together a speech or declare their feelings in some dramatic way because the evidence is already written in the way they treat you. Think about it. A man can say, I love you 100 times, but if he's never there when you need him, what do those words mean? On the other hand, a person who may never have told you how they feel could prove it by the way they show up for you, by the way they protect your peace, by the way they pay attention to the little things that matter to you. Confessions are nice, but actions build trust, and trust is the foundation of every real connection. When two people like each other without saying it, you can see it in the way they act around one another. He leans in a little closer when she speaks, even if the room is noisy. She remembers his favorite snack and brings it without being asked. They laugh at inside jokes no one else even understands. These small actions may seem ordinary to outsiders, but to them, they're everything. They are love letters written in behavior instead of ink. That's why actions are so much more powerful than words. And sometimes the silence in their actions says more than any confession could. For example, the way they don't rush to impress each other. Instead, they just want to be real, to be comfortable. That ease shows they feel something genuine. Or the way their eyes light up without them noticing whenever the other one walks in. That's not rehearsed. That's not planned. That's the heart speaking louder than the tongue ever could. When feelings are true, people naturally go out of their way without needing recognition. If she's sick, he'll check on her, bring her what she needs, and not expect praise for it. If he's having a bad day, she'll notice and find ways to lift him up without demanding attention for her effort. That's not obligation. That's not duty. That's attraction and care revealing themselves through action. Nobody has to say, I like you. The truth is already clear in how they treat each other. What makes actions more valuable than confessions is that they last. A confession can be a one-time thing, just words spoken in a moment. But actions repeat themselves. They form patterns. They tell you who someone really is. You don't have to guess how they feel because their consistency speaks louder than 1,000 I love yous. That's why people say, love is not what you say, it's what you do. And actions have a way of slipping out. Even when people are trying to hide their feelings. He might casually brush his hand against hers, then pretend it was nothing, but the spark is already there. She might fix his collar or straighten his shirt like it's no big deal, but those little touches reveal a comfort level that only comes from attraction. They may not confess it, but their actions already told on it. The truth can't stay hidden. forever. Sometimes actions can also protect what words might ruin. Because once people confess, expectations rise, pressure builds, and sometimes the beauty of that natural connection gets lost. But through actions, people show steady, reliable affection without rushing. They let the bond grow stronger without forcing it. They don't have to rush into promises because their everyday behavior already proves their feelings. At the end of the day, if you want to know how someone really feels, don't just listen to what they say. Watch what they do. If they make time for you when life is busy, that's love. If they listen to you when the world is loud, that's love. If they protect you without bragging about it, that's love. Because confessions are spoken once, but actions are repeated every day. And that's what makes them the real proof of the heart. The comfort of presence shows unspoken feelings. Because sometimes love is not about the big gestures, the dramatic speeches, or the public declarations. Sometimes it is about how peaceful you feel when you are simply sitting beside someone without saying a word. When two people like each other, their presence alone becomes enough. The silence between them is not awkward. It is soothing. It is calming. It is almost like a language on its own. That kind of comfort can't be faked and it can't be forced. It only happens when the heart recognizes another heart that feels the same way. You know you like someone when being near them doesn't feel like effort. You don't have to entertain them. You don't have to impress them. You don't have to fill the space with endless conversation. You can just be. Two people sitting together, maybe watching the world go by, maybe not seeing anything at all, but still feeling full, still feeling connected. That's the comfort of presence. That's how you know there is something deeper than words could ever explain. Think about how many people you meet in life where silence feels heavy, where you feel the need to keep talking because the quiet is uncomfortable. Now compare that with the one person you can sit beside for hours, no words spoken, and yet you leave feeling understood. That's not ordinary. That's unspoken attraction. That's emotional connection. That's the soul resting easy because it knows it's in the right company. Presence becomes proof. You don't need to confess feelings when the energy between you already speaks louder than anything you could say. The comfort of presence also shows in the little details. Maybe it's the way she rests her head on his shoulder without asking, and he doesn't move because it feels right. Maybe it's the way he doesn't have to ask if she's okay, because just sitting beside her tells him everything he needs to know. Maybe it's the way they both feel better after being together, even if they didn't solve a single problem or have a deep conversation. That is love revealing itself quietly through presence, not performance. What makes presence so powerful is that it strips away everything artificial. People can hide behind words, they can mask their intentions with clever lines, but presence doesn't lie. If being near someone brings you peace, that is the truth speaking. If being near someone drains you, that is also the truth speaking. With real attraction, with real feelings, presence feels like home. It doesn't matter where you are, what you're doing, or whether the world is falling apart outside. As long as that person is near, you feel grounded. Sometimes unspoken feelings are loudest in the quietest moments. Two people sitting in the same room, maybe scrolling on their phones, maybe reading, maybe just sipping coffee, and yet their hearts are in sync. They don't have to fill the air with "I like you" or "I care about you." Their comfort in each other's presence says it all. That's why people often realize they are in love when they notice how easy it feels to simply exist together. No pressure, no pretending, just peace. Presence also creates a sense of safety. When you like someone, being near them makes you feel protected, even without words of reassurance. You don't need them to promise they'll be there. Their presence already proves it. A man doesn't have to confess his feelings if he is always showing up in her life when she needs him. A woman doesn't have to say she cares if she is already bringing light and comfort into his world simply by being around. That silent support is worth more than 1,000 speeches. The beauty of presence is that it lingers. Even after you part ways, you carry the feeling with you. You remember the calm, the joy, the peace, and you find yourself looking forward to the next time without even realizing it. That is how unspoken feelings grow stronger. With every moment of quiet companionship, with every shared silence that feels more intimate than words, and when two people feel that same comfort, it is only a matter of time before they realize that what they have is love, long before they ever dare to say it aloud. Eye contact becomes the secret language of love, because sometimes words get stuck, nerves get in the way, and people may hesitate to confess how they truly feel. But the eyes, they don't lie. They reveal emotions that the mouth is too scared to express. When two people like each other without saying it, their eyes start holding conversations long before their lips ever do. A glance across the room turns into a whole confession. The lingering stare becomes louder than an "I love you." The silence is filled with truth, and that truth is carried in the eye. You can see it in the way two people look at each other when they think nobody is watching. His eyes search for her in a crowded room without him even realizing it. Her gaze softens the moment it lands on him, even if she tries to look away quickly. That's attraction revealing itself in the purest, most honest way. Because while someone might choose not to speak, they can't control how their eyes light up. When the one they care about appears, it's a reaction straight from the heart, uncontrollable and undeniable. Eye contact also has a way of creating a world that belongs only to the two people involved. Everyone else could be talking, music could be playing, chaos could be happening around them, but the moment their eyes lock, it feels like time slows down. It's as if the universe is giving them a private moment in the middle of everything. That kind of connection can't be forced, it can't be faked. It can only exist when there are true feelings behind it. And the funny part is, they don't even need to say anything because the eyes are already translating emotions into language. A long stare can say, "I miss you." A quick glance followed by a smile can say, "I like you." A look held just a second too long can whisper, "I wish I could tell you everything I feel." It's a secret code only they can understand. And the beauty of it is that neither of them has to explain. They just know when two people like each other, they start noticing the smallest changes in one another's expressions. He can tell when she's upset just by the way her eyes dim a little, even if she's smiling for everyone else. She can sense his stress by the way his gaze avoids hers, even if he says everything is fine. That sensitivity to each other's eyes comes from more than friendship. It comes from a bond deeper than words, a connection so strong that they don't need to be told, they simply feel it. There's also a vulnerability in eye contact that makes it powerful. You can't hide when you're truly looking into someone's eyes. The walls drop, the masks slip, and what's left is pure honesty. That's why people who like each other without saying it often find themselves both nervous and drawn to each other's gaze. It's exciting, it's terrifying, but it's irresistible because deep down they know if the eyes keep telling the truth, eventually the heart will have no choice but to follow. And it's not just the intensity that makes it meaningful, it's also the comfort. Two people who share unspoken feelings often find peace in simply looking at each other. There's reassurance in that connection, a sense of, I see you, I understand you, I'm here. They don't need long conversations to explain what they feel because that silent eye contact says it all. It becomes a promise without words, a confession without risk, a love note written in glances instead of ink. The beauty of this secret language is that it grows stronger over time. The more they look, the more they understand. Eventually, whole conversations happen without a single word spoken. A look across the table can mean, I get you. A glance during a stressful moment can mean, I've got your back. And when those eyes linger in silence, it means I love you in the deepest way possible. That's why eye contact becomes the most powerful and undeniable sign of unspoken love. It's a truth the heart sends directly through the eyes where no words are needed. Respect and patience define the bond. Because when two people like each other without saying it, what holds them together is not rushing, not pushing, not demanding, but simply valuing each other enough to wait. Real attraction, real feelings, they don't have to be forced. They grow stronger when both people honor the connection instead of trying to control it. Respect is shown in the way they treat each other's time, boundaries, and emotion. Patience is shown in the way they allow things to unfold naturally, trusting that what is real doesn't need to be hurried. When someone respects you, they don't cross lines just to get what they want. They listen when you speak, they care about how you feel, and they protect your dignity, even in silence. Respect is not about grand gestures. It's about everyday behavior. It's about the way he pays attention to her comfort without her asking, the way she values his effort without dismissing it, the way they both make sure the other feels safe in their presence. That kind of respect is already proof of affection before any words are spoken. And patience is just as powerful. Attraction can make people eager, but true feelings are never in a hurry because they know what's meant to be will not pass them by. When two people like each other, patience shows in the way they wait for the right moment, the way they allow space for growth, and the way they never pressure one another into rushing into confessions. They know the bond is real, so they don't need to push. They trust the timing, they trust the connection, and they trust that when the words finally come, they will only confirm what has already been clear in the action. Respect and patience together create a foundation where unspoken love can thrive. Without respect, the bond turns selfish. Without patience, the bond turns rushed. But when both are present, the silence feels safe, the waiting feels natural, and the connection deepens every single day. It's in the way they don't demand explanations, in the way they give each other room to breathe, and in the way they prove by action that the bond is worth protecting. That is how unspoken feelings grow into undeniable love, quietly, respectfully, patiently. Destiny often writes love stories without dialogue because some of the most beautiful connections are not created through carefully chosen words, but through moments that feel like they were meant to be. Two people cross paths not by accident, but by something bigger that was already written for them. They don't have to rush into confessions. They don't have to label it right away. because the universe has already started weaving their story together long before they realize it themselves. When two people like each other without saying it, destiny has a way of arranging situations that bring them closer. Maybe they keep meeting in unexpected places. Maybe they find themselves sharing the same thoughts at the same time, or maybe their lives seem to align in ways that can't be explained by coincidence. These are the quiet signs that there's a bigger plan at work, something guiding them toward one another without the need for spoken promises. Love stories written by destiny don't always need words because the feelings show up in timing, in energy, and in the way their hearts recognize each other. It's the way they feel at home in each other's presence even before they've said how they feel. It's the way they understand each other with just a glance. The way they can sit in silence and still know they are exactly where they belong. That's destiny, speaking louder than dialogue ever could. Sometimes silence itself is destiny's tool. Instead of rushing confessions, it allows the bond to grow naturally, without pressure. The quiet between two people becomes proof that the connection doesn't need constant validation. It simply is. And when the right moment finally comes, when the words are finally spoken, it won't feel like the beginning. It will feel like the continuation of something that was always meant to be. Destiny's love stories are not about speed. They are about depth. They are not about who speaks first, but about who shows up consistently. And when two people like each other without saying it, they are already living the love story that destiny has written for them, whether or not they've given it a voice yet.